What we find about the judgment is that in Malachi, we read there that Christ would suddenly come to the sanctuary, his temple. And we find from other prophetic studies that that took place actually in October 2, 1844, when the judgment began. And we've got descriptions of the judgment in other sections of Daniel and so forth. And we also find in that very same section in Malachi that there's the same question asked: who's going to be able to endure the coming of Christ? And we find there the answer is, if you read there in that section of Malachi, that there's going to be a purification time of God's people. So it is significant that the Bible clearly presents those who are ready to meet Jesus will have had to go through a purification time, victory over temptation and sin, in order to be ready to meet Jesus. Now, how does that work? Well, we know that it's not, Paul tells us very clearly in Romans 7, we're not able to be victorious on our own. The only way we can overcome temptation and sin is by having Jesus live in us. And remember, we are told Jesus became one of us. He walked this earth, lived a life as a human being. And it says in Hebrews, he was tempted in all points as we are without sin. Why did he do that? He allowed himself to be tempted and got the victory over those temptations for us, because he knew and knows that we cannot do that. It's not in us to do that. We are sinners. And if we work hard, no matter how hard we try to be obedient to him in our own strength, fighting that temptation, even though we're asking him to help us, we're really trying to generate our human righteousness that we're told all our righteousness is filthy rags. It stinks, as far as God's concerned. The only acceptable righteousness, the only acceptable obedience is Christ's righteousness. So, how does this work? As we've seen in a previous discussion, Jesus lives in us through the baptism of the Holy Spirit. He was tempted on every point as we are, so he already got the victory over every temptation we would face. So let's use an example. I'm tempted to be impatient. Somebody cuts me off, they slow down. I'm in a hurry. I'm driving there, and I get a little angry. Oh, I know, hey, that's not what I should do. I shouldn't have anger and impatience, it's sin. What do? Do I fight the temptation, asking God to help me? No. I turn to Jesus who lives in me, and I ask Jesus to give me his patience, his peace. And if I believe he'll do it, he'll do it. Now, I had to make a choice to turn from that temptation. I may have to do it 10 seconds later again. That's okay. Do it again. And what's going to happen in due time? I'm going to be driving my car. I'm going to get cut off. They're going to slow down, and I'm not going to feel impatient. What happened? Jesus happened. Jesus now has become more and more a part of my life. And that's what's got to happen to those who are ready to meet Jesus. They will be, and there's a process, they will be going through this purification process, if you will, described in Malachi. They'll be going through this process of learning how to let Jesus live out his life in them. And when Jesus comes, we are told in 1 John 3:2, Beloved, now are we the sons of God. Does not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he comes, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. The Greek word there for like is homoios, which means exactly like Jesus. Why are they exactly like Jesus? Because it is Jesus himself that is shining out of them 100%. That is the high calling of the Christian today. And what I just described is the process of righteousness by faith, the sanctification part of that. And as we have seen in our discussion, the baptism of the Holy Spirit is at the very heart of that. Jesus living in us through the baptism of the Holy Spirit is at the very heart of that. And our victory comes by trusting Jesus to give us his victory. So in the end, Jesus gets all the glory. All we said was, yes, Jesus, do it for me.